Hello, welcome back. It's so good to see you. So, I have been trying to record this video forever, but the neighbors behind my house in like Caddy Corner, they are having a pool installed. And it's raining today. But what do the construction crews do? They come out and work in the rain, so there's lots of drilling sounds and hammering and banging. I can't stop it, but this is the time that I have to record my video, so I'm just gonna do it. But this is I guess it's gonna be like a neighborhood gossip video. Yeah. And I also have my tea. This is actually, I think it's a cucumber mint tea, and it tastes nothing like cucumber and nothing like mint. It tastes like honeydew. Like if you could just drink a honeydew, that's what that tea tastes like. It's amazing. Anyway, so yeah, I've had this neighborhood gossip situation been going on in some of my older videos, but nothing really has happened until recently. So I'm just going to go back to the beginning for people who don't know what is going on with the neighbors across the street from me. So, okay, about like a year and a month ago, the neighbors across the street, I don't know their name. I only know one set of neighbors' names, but we're friends with them. So I just make up my own names and they're not even names. Anyway, so the neighbors across the street, they have twins. They had twins when they lived in the house. So we just call them twin mom and twin dad. And then the neighbors next to them, which is like diagonal in front, when they moved in, I didn't go and introduce myself to them or anything because so many people had moved in and out of that house. I was like, they're not going to be there that long, and they've been there for like 3 years now. So, but when they moved in, my husband was like, "Oh, the neighbors are moving in," and I was like, "What?" And I looked out the window and I didn't see anybody, and he was like, "Right there," and I was like, "Where?" And he was like, "Right there, red shirt," because the guy was wearing a red shirt. So now that neighbor is red shirt and red shirt wife and red shirt kids. My husband actually just found out his name and twin dad name, but I'm not going to say their names. I like twin dad, twin mom, red shirt. So anyway, yeah, so about a year and a month ago, the twin dad and twin mom, they started moving, and I was like, oh, they're moving, because I actually liked them. They were really good neighbors, and they had kids that were about our age and stuff like that. It was nice. Well, anyway, so they started, you could tell that they were moving. They were like taking boxes out of the house, and then they had the moving truck come out. So I was like, oh, that house is going to be up for sale. And so I immediately had to look at it like on Zillow. But it turns out that they were putting it up for rent, and I was like, ooh, that's cool, because my sister was looking for a house to rent. She actually ended up renting a house in the front of our neighborhood. But anyway, so I've seen inside that house, and it's pretty nice. It's almost like mine, but the floor plan at the bottom is a little different. They have a master bedroom on the top floor and the bottom floor, and I redesigned ours to not have the master on the bottom because I wanted to be on the second floor. Totally pointless to the story. Anyway, so they put the house up for rent, and it was up for rent for like 3 days. Somebody scooped it up real quick. And it's like that in this neighborhood. Like, this is the prime spot to live. Like, everybody wants to live in this neighborhood. Anyway, so I was waiting for the new neighbors to move in because I was gonna introduce myself, and I saw the movers, There's banging. I'm sorry. I saw the movers bring their moving truck, and it was just a bunch of mover guys, and then, like, halfway through the moving process, I looked outside and I saw this sign in the yard, and it said, "It's a boy." And I was like, oh, the new neighbors, they've just come by or something, and they put up this little flag and it says it's a boy. They just had a baby. This is going to be great. I love babies. So I was, waiting for the movers to leave and the couple or family to move in. Well, the movers left, but then I never saw any family. And then a few days later, I saw some of the movers there again, and I was like, golly, this is taking like a long time for the movers to like move this stuff into the house. And then I just kept seeing the movers, and I was like, wait a minute, where's this family with this new baby boy? Because it was just weird. And then I was like, are the movers the people that live in the house? Because it was just a bunch of boys. I was just like really confused, and I never saw any family or anything, but it still had the sign up that said it's a boy, and I was just like, what is that? Anyway, and then I realized that no family was moving in, and it was just a house full of boys. And like, to me, they were little boys. They looked to me like 18, 19, 20. That's little to me. And I was just like, oh my God, did like a fraternity just move in across the street? Like, oh God. Anyway, because you've seen that movie Neighbors. Ooh. So I told my husband, I was like, I think a fraternity like moved in across the street, like, ugh. But we didn't have problems with them. They didn't like throw parties or anything, so I was just like, maybe they're brothers or something. I don't know. So then like I take my kids to school and pick them up and stuff, so I'm in and out a lot. And I kept seeing this one guy over and over again. Every time he would leave, he would be wearing this pirate outfit, and I'm like, what is happening? I was like, he must work at some like weird pirate themed restaurant or something, because he had pirate pants on. He had this weird button up collared shirt and then pirate pants. Like, I don't know, it was weird. Anyway, so me and my husband, we kept like trying to see what the logo was on his shirt. Eventually we found out. We talked to him, and he works at some Brazilian steakhouse or something, but I guess their uniform includes pirate pants, because then after that, when I had spoken to him about that, he said that he works at this Brazilian restaurant, and actually everyone who works at the restaurant lives in the house. And I was like, what? So it's like you've got the waiters, the chefs, hostess guys, like everything, but they were all men. There was like no women. I was like, do any women work at that restaurant? But anyway, and I was like, then I started noticing that there was probably like at least 12 different boys living in this house. And the house, like, our house technically has 4 bedrooms, but we turned one of the bedrooms into an office downstairs. But there's also like a game room upstairs, and just, I don't know, there's lots of rooms, but like they would have to have been sharing a room if there was like 12 to 15 guys in there. Anyway, I was just like, okay. Anyway, so like this whole restaurant lives across the street. Well, like, there was always just random cars driving by, and like, yeah, there's 15 guys living in the house. Some of them even had like little motorcycles or mopeds. But like over the winter, I like to sleep with my upstairs windows open. Like I close the blinds so people can't see in, but I like the windows to be open because me and my husband like to freeze to death while we sleep. Anyway, but you could hear stuff going on across the street because my husband, he gets up at like 3:30 in the morning to get ready for work, and I get up with him to make sure he has his lunch and just, kiss him goodbye, all that stuff. um, but the guys across the street would be up having like a bonfire party in the driveway, and it's like a normal neighborhood. The driveway, it's a normal length or whatever, so it's not that far away from the houses or anything like that. And they would just be having parties in their driveway at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Thursday. And but once I found out that they worked at the restaurant, I was like, oh, they work late, they get off, they want to come home, relax, have a few drinks with their friends, and then, but I'm like, you gotta realize that this is a neighborhood where families live. You can't just party like that. But we were talking to Red Shirt about it, and because he had come over here asking if we had any complaints about the neighbors, and I was like, no, not really. I mean, I know that they stay up sometimes, and he was like, yeah, they do. But I didn't realize that because our houses are probably about like 10 feet apart, like on the sides. And he said, like, his kids, he has a 1-story and they have a 2-story, but his kids' bedroom is right by their garage, and they're in the driveway having this loud bonfire party, and they're drinking alcohol and stuff. Well, they had their trash can on the side of their garage, and so when they were done, they would just chunk their beer bottles at the trash can, but they would always miss it, and they would smash up against Red Shirt's house, and his kids would wake up scared, because like their kids are probably, I think they were like 3 and 5. So yeah, that would be really scary for a 3 and 5-year-old. Like, they probably thought some monsters were coming to get them. Anyway, well, Red Shirt wakes up at 3 o'clock in the morning too, because he works in like Navasota, which is like pretty far away. So he has to drive really far to get to work in the morning. But he said that he went out there and he started yelling at them that they need to stop, having these parties. His kids are trying to sleep, they're scaring them, all this stuff, and they just like laughed at him like, oh, whatever, go away, old man, which was super rude. But anyway, so he complained about it, and he's actually friends with twin dad and twin mom, so he would call them and be like, dude, these guys suck. Anyway, well, the mom, Red Shirt's wife, came out the next morning or several mornings, and there would just be broken beer bottles in between the houses, and like our kids run around the yards and stuff in the front yard, so there were broken bottles like everywhere, and that's dangerous for kids. So she went over there, and I saw her. I was upstairs in my bedroom, and I had the blinds open, and I saw her, and I was like, what is she doing in between the houses, And then she like had her hands on her hips, and she was like super mad, and then she stormed over there. Later, I found out that it was because of all the broken glass bottles, and she had gone to complain and told them that they needed to go pick all those up. Well, they didn't. So, Red Shirt's wife called the police on them, and the police came out, and a complaint was filed or whatever. But since they're renters, it has to go to like the renting, I don't know, authority or like company or whatever. And if the police are called out, well, the renting company or whatever has to come out to the home and inspect it. So they had to come out and inspect it. So when they did that, they were like, they had tons of violations, and like they had broken blinds and stuff, and we've got like these really thick wooden blinds in the house. So like that takes a lot of force to break blinds like that, right? I don't know. Like I can't see breaking those blinds. Anyway, and they had pets, which they weren't authorized to have pets. They had a dog and a cat, and just all kinds of damage and stuff. But they said that they would get it fixed, and if they get it fixed, then they wouldn't have to be like kicked out. So after that, Red Shirt started complaining. I had seen Red Shirt out in his yard. It was in the front yard on the side of his house, but like towards the street. And every day he would come out and water his yard, just that one little section that was like by the sidewalk, but on the side of his house. And I was like, what is he doing? Like every day, he doesn't water his entire yard, just this one little spot. I had talked to him, and he said that after the violations, they found out that they had a cat, and they weren't authorized to have a cat, but they decided to keep it or something. But one of the violations was that they had a litter box that was never cleaned. So every day, one of the boys would take the litter box, take it outside, and just dump it in the front yard by the sidewalk in between their two houses. Well, Red Shirt has kids and they run around their yard. So when they were running around the yard, they were stepping in cat poop. And so he got mad about it, and but there's nothing that he could really do. So he would just wash off this little area of grass like every day to like get the cat poop out of the yard, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, and like Red Shirt and then the lady on the other side, they were both complaining because those boys, like, I guess they would smoke weed all day, and that stuff travels. So on both sides of the houses, it would constantly just smell like, weed. And we all have kids here, so that's not an appropriate thing. At least not here. I know that that's legal in a lot of places, but not here in Texas. And still, even if it was legal, I would not appreciate that around my kids. But anyway, so Red Shirt hates those kids in that house. Well, I was like, they probably won't get to be able to re-sign the lease, so they'll be out of here by June or July or something like that. And he was like, well, I really hope so, because they had taken care of the violations and stuff, so they got to stay. Well, it was at the beginning of July, I saw that they started taking a bunch of like trash bags out of the house, the people across the street, and I was like, what are they doing? And my husband was watching them, and he was like, I think they're moving. And I was like, what? They had their stuff in like trash bags, but he was like, no, I think that's actual trash, like, because they were filling it into a truck, like they were taking it to the dump or something. I don't know. And I'm like, how could a house be filled with that much trash? But it makes sense because they never put their trash can out on the street, like, ever. So that trash has just been piling up in their house for a year. That's awful. Anyway, so once I saw that they were moving, I was like, oh, maybe we'll get new neighbors soon. Hopefully it'll be a family and maybe they'll have kids. Anyway, and so then I was watching across the street because I noticed that like a bunch of stuff was being put just in the driveway and on the sidewalks and stuff, but it was like just junk. And some of it was furniture, but like it was a couch that has been entirely gutted and just awful. And I was like, well, it looks like they moved because I saw the moving trucks and stuff, but all that trash and garbage and stuff was just left in the driveway. And I was like, well, they'll come back the next day, right? Like, they have to. They can't just leave it there. So the next morning I woke up and it was still there. And I was like, oh my gosh. Well, Red Shirt had called Twin Dad and was like, yeah, they're out of the house, but all this stuff is still here. And so Twin Dad came, and he has like this super, super loud truck. So as soon as I heard it coming down the street, I was like, oh my gosh, Twin Dad's coming. So I go like outside. Yes, I am a nosy neighbor, but we ended up talking to them as well. So anyway, Twin Dad came out there and he was just like, he had his hands on his hip and he was just like, what is going on? You know, like you could tell he was super pissed. And then it starts raining super hard. I'm just like, oh my gosh. So him and a bunch of guys like just move everything that was in the driveway and stuff into the garage. And then he goes into the garage and like he comes out and he takes his hat off and he's just like, oh my god, like this is awful. And so yeah, and then a couple days later I see these, they're not movers, but they're like, what is happening? Oh yeah, the pool thing. They're installing pool stuff over there. Sorry if it's loud. Why do they have to do that? It's literally raining outside. Why? Ugh. Anyway, so I lost my train of thought. Oh, so I watched these like worker guys come, and I'm like, what are they doing? Because they bring this big, like, almost looks like a huge trash can or something. It's very long and wide, and it doesn't have a top. It's like this, I don't know, like I don't know. I've seen it at construction sites where they just put their scraps and stuff in it, but it's this big metal thing. Anyway, so this truck backed it up into the driveway across the street, and I was like, oh my gosh, what happened inside that house? And so of course I'm just looking out the window, and they bring all kinds of stuff out of that house. Pipes, like PVC, is that what it's called? I don't know. It's that big white pipe that's like plastic or whatever. They bring tons of pipes out of there, and I'm like, what? And then they bring just boxes and trash and burn barrels, and they brought three trampolines out of the house, like rather large ones. I mean, they fit through the door if you turn them sideways, but they were like, I don't know, about 6 or 7 feet around. Two big ones and then a smaller one that's like a personal exercise trampoline. They bring that out of the house, and I'm like, dude, our ceilings are between 8 and 10 feet tall. If you have a trampoline in a house like this, you're gonna hit your head. Like, what was going on in that house? I don't know. And then they had these huge, like, it's like they put in temporary flooring or something in the house, but they looked like, oh, I can't think of the name, but like they're just these wooden pallets. They were wooden pallets, but they, you know how pallets have like 3 pieces of wood on top or something? Well, this one had wood all over the top, but it was definitely a pallet at the bottom. They brought out probably about 12 of them. Why were those in the house? And it's like, when did these boys bring that stuff into the house? Because I never saw any of that. Although if they were doing stuff at 3 o'clock in the morning, I wouldn't have seen it. But anyway, so my husband was talking to Red Shirt like 2 days ago, and he was like, what's going on over there? And he said that they destroyed the house. Destroyed it. He said that there are holes in the wall, pieces of carpet that they had literally cut out of the floor. He said it looks like that there was a fire and they just put it out and left it. Like, what? He said that there were corners of the house where the cat had just pooped everywhere, and they didn't clean it up, and it was like ground into the carpet and the fibers and stuff. And he said that there were places in the house where you could tell that somebody had vomited and then they just walked away and left it there. I cannot imagine what that house actually looks like and smells like. Like, and I asked him, I was like, did you go into the house? And he was like, no. I went into the garage and that was enough for me. I could not even go into it. I just feel so bad for twin dad and twin mom, like, because they had lived there for 4 years and then they got a new house, but they were going to rent this out for like extra income and stuff. So this was their first tenants in their house, and their house was really nice, and now it's just trashed. Red Shirt said that twin dad is going to have to gut the entire house and basically rebuild it, and I'm like, that just sucks. Like, what? And obviously they didn't get their deposit back, but like, oh, I just feel so bad for them. But twin dad is going to sue them, so hopefully that goes well. Like, I don't know how they enforce that kind of thing, because I know that like sometimes in court, you can win and they're like, all right, you have to pay this, but then there's no like follow through of the paying process. I don't know. Hopefully they get it taken care of. I'm just like really confused because like I've talked to those boys before and stuff, and they seem very nice, and like, I don't know, I never heard anything crazy coming from that house, but I mean, I live across the street, so there's a pretty large distance between our house. I'm sure it would be different if I lived beside them, because my neighbors over here, they're very, very nice, but you can hear them yelling at each other through their house. They're really loud. I think they're just really loud talkers, and then when they fight, it gets even louder. But yeah, we're all very quiet in our house, and then our other neighbors who we're actually friends with, they're very quiet. So, but I guess you can hear if like you're loud and stuff, you can hear through it. So maybe the neighbors on either side have heard stuff in the house. I don't know. But I'm just like, ugh. And so, Red Shirt asked twin dad if he was going to rent the house out again after he guts it and rebuilds it, and he was like, I just don't know. And I can see why, like, how that would ruin his experience of wanting to do that. I'm sure it would be okay if like you rented to an actual family, not a group of teenagers, you know what I mean? But maybe the renting agency that he went through didn't allow him like authorization or something. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, so that is the neighborhood gossip. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you soon.